politics. This is douglAR politics. Yeah, oh, douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. Yeah, douglAR politics.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. I'm down in South because coming on as a co-host to get down into the nitty-gritty of the indemnity, the bribery, the PNM corruption is none other than Senator Jayanti Lutchmedial. She mashed them up in the Senate and she will be here. She is here. But before that, I tell you, I'm driving down south and I'm only listening to tunes on the radio, but I listen to young brother boy. Heaven and earth, right? Trinidad and Tobago could be heaven on earth if you get rid of the PNM. If you get the PNM on the outside. If you get the PNM out of the inside, out of the treasury, out of the government, out of the cabinet, out of your lives. Trinidad and Tobago could be heaven on earth. Just vote UNC, I'm telling you. It's a clear example of heart versus heartlessness. Money for the people versus wean yourself off the government. A cabinet led by Kamala for children, single mothers, the poor, to put food on your table, as opposed to Rowley, Alrawi, Smallpin, Colm, Paula, Marvin, Champa, and Keith Scotland to give you a bike and coal pot. All you come on, man. Politics is a simple thing. Vote for who go help you keep money in your pocket. Rowley and them sucking the money out your pocket like a mosquito and a vampire after midnight on my Mayaro beach without fire. So, let me get into it. Ceiling falls at St. George's College. The roads collapsing, bridge collapsing, school collapsing, brick fall on a boy head from up there, concrete fall off school mashing up, school destroyed. Tim Gopi Singh bill. Imagine Senator De Freitas Tobogonian. Boy, you have no shame. Half of me is Tobogonian and a shame for you. Imagine Senator De Freitas come in the parliament, come in the Senate to try to pretend to continue Rowley's ridiculous lie. Remember when he said, tell Kamala and Tim, ask them, tell the media, where the 106 schools? Tim Gopi Singh went in the parliament and took his time ad nauseum and showed even pictures with Rowley shaking Kamala's hand and Kamala giving him something. I know what you're eating for, you know, Kamala, with all due respect. I mean, he's really dancing, but the only thing he should get is a slap, right? But don't worry, Rowley. I might come downstairs just now. Call the electioner because downstairs could have slap in it. You want to threaten Munilal about come outside? Me ain't going outside, you know. You doing it right there. It's a camera, it's everything inside the ring, right? And Tim Gopi Singh show already 106 schools. douglAR Politics post it up. It all over the world. Kick out the PNM, everything. Have it long video. All you go and look for the video. And Senator De Freitas, he's so worthless. Once you join PNM, even if you were originally a good human being, you're just stunned. Yes, you're just stunned. Let me don't cuss out douglAR Politics. It's years on radio, about 30 years, and me ain't cuss yet, you know. But at HYMC, have a Merry Christmas, and call me but the freighters come to pretend and play like we didn't build that. I tell them they have envy, performance envy. Tim Gopi Singh built 106 schools and left about 44 more in different percentages. Archie went to one in Ramai Trace down in the south, where it was 91% complete back in 2015, and them leave that for Bush and Guana to grow and walk all over it. In St. Joseph, a school that was 84% complete, they let people come and vandalize it and thief out everything. PNM is deleterious to your health and your family and your safety. So children and all, they go into school and they can't even get a laptop, they're getting busted because the school collapsing on their head. PTSC passengers want more than cheaper service. Paula Gurpee Schoon, you in your reasonably expensive car and you look at how much gas you put in and the country is going well and you've never heard any complaints from the citizens about PTSC, well, open your ears, Paula. Take our Q-tips and screw out the wax. Hear this now, right? Hear this article here. Newsday, and Newsday from all your PNM paper, not a UNC paper, you know, a PNM paper, page 15. Newsday, Section A, Thursday. Paula, I know you done log on. You know all them PNM that's been logging on, I've vexed all your UNC, you know. I've vexed all your independence. All you just take all your time to log on to the douglAR politics. You just take your time. You just have your little breakfast waiting for you that you leave from the morning. And you just have your little coffee and your drinks waiting to log on. You know them PNM minister and senator does log on be waiting. So good evening, Paula Gopi-Schoon. Did you roast breadfruit on your coal pot? You can't ride a bike because you ain't had the balance. But listen to this now. Because you say you never heard a complaint about PTSC running late. Newsday. PTSC passengers want more than just a cheaper service. On October 3rd at Citygate, commuter Shanice Edman, 28, was waiting for a bus to Chaguanas. But the bus does not run on time, so it forces you to use private transport. Today I trying to see if it will run on time or if I would have to pay a maxi or taxi like normal. Well, I'm Shanice lie on all your Paula, but you see you don't know about the bus. Because while you're cruising in your reasonably expensive car, you don't need to worry about people in bus. And bus, when it raining on people's head. Bus to Chaguanas, that's break down before Price Plaza and people have to walk 2 miles. That's the norms. Edmund said, the bus runs every hour, but most times when I come here, it either now gone, so she reached early for the next bus, but the bus that was supposed to leave long time, only now gone. So then she had to wait the next hour for the bus. But Paula said she never heard of that, Paula. Paula, you just be on the Ocean Pelican too much. You only hear in sea breeze. So half hour late. Last time I waited nearly 3 hours and I still had to take a taxi. Even though gas increased, the PTSC is not reliable enough to say I'd give up maxis and taxis. Another lady, Ariane Vialva Smith, and another one, Miss Noel, said, we came up on the coach and the bus is deplorable. Referring to Smith, Noel said, the seat she was sitting on so bad, she nearly fell off. The seat rocked back and she had to hold on to stay on the seat. The windows on the bus rattling and flapping in the wind. That was my experience. So Paula Gopi-Schoon, come off your bike, wet down your coals in your coal pot, take out and borrow chamfa, what you just call them bag, me I even know, Louis Vuitton bag for 33,000, and take up chamfa cream that is make she lighter than me. Chamfa was my color, me and chamfa same color. I say, but with me and chamfa, we going down good. Now chamfa going light, looking like George Bovell. I want to know what happened if it's only air conditioned. The sun don't hit chamfa, but they got the most beautiful sun. So borrow she bag and cool yourself. Virgin direct flights to Tobago discontinued. The big clown Randall Mitchell with Leng and Al-Rawi and Budit fame from all down inside here. Wherever all you know when they go Kepas, Amiga, todo bien, all you know, Randall Mitchell, that one. The one who the biggest fattest man who cannot even make it into a picture without having a wide angle lens, take his girl, take his seat, take his girl, and come to take his dog. Puss in Boots come to tell the country. Tourism is great. Sporting tourism is great. We are going to have a bumper 2023. And here it is. Virgin Atlantic direct flights to Tobago discontinued. Randall Mitchell, anything you touch, blight boy. Library resident. Oh, but look, but one thing that's happening, I must say, if you're a PNM financier, you're on the inside. You have heaven on earth. So the PNM shattering the economy, closing down businesses, and opening up opportunities for the boys and them. You saw it with the monopolization of the pharmaceutical industry by the KFC man who get a road to drop straight in a bucket wrong in the interchange there in Curep. And he in charge of the roadmap to recovery committee. Them come in the Senate to ball that roadmap working. The roadmap to flipping hell is what the PNM taking all the way on straight. And it's a highway, it don't even have a curve. And it downhill. Well, look at this now. The bus movie down Chaguanas. And look who's open. Cinema returns to Chaguanas. For over 2 years, it has not been possible. In 2023, Cinema One and Endeavor Holding have reached a deal to reopen a Cineplex at a location previously occupied. So the element, so the whole of tourism and now business. So this Endeavor thing, Abu and Richard Smith and all of them boys, amalgamated, them open bricks, them fix up a next hotel there and rename it. Them go in and get 28 acres, PNM gain them that down so. And now, movie tongue bus, them open up cinema. So the PNM busing all you to get the boys and them, well, what you want me to do? What you want me to say? I happy for them, you know. Me have no problem with that. But I prefer the whole country to be able, you can have the opportunity like Kazim Hussein. Kazim Hussein, I come from sweeping the ground, man, to up in the Ministry of Agriculture. Yes, Kazim. But now you're sitting down and passing a budget that prevents other people who are at the level of the lower incomes from accessing opportunities to rise like you, Kazim. So you only want to rise and stay up there by yourself, my brother? Nah, man. Hopefully, we could get rid of you, throw away that PNM budget, put in Kamla and get a heartfelt, passionate budget for the people, inshallah. All right, Kazim? Labre residents protest lack of jobs in the community. Labre, no? Labre is PNM. PNM is Labre. Great is the PNM. Labre residents protest lack of jobs in the community. Having been told that there was no work to get from Concordia International Badge, nothing. The people of Labre can get nothing. Point 14 highway shut down. PNM fire, but Labre. Vote Victor Roberts, UNC. Labre, vote Victor Roberts, UNC. Ruptured pipeline in San Fernando affects homeowners' business. All across the country, it only a hole and more hole. Like Rowley could only fill hole. Well, he's doing that in the cabinet. But I mean, what we need, why we need all the holes all over the place. NACTA, UNC needs a change of leadership. Look, Vishnu Bishram, I done mash you up as a total charlatan and a clown. If you would like a news, they all keep printing that stupidity. The man who say to PNM go win in Tobago and badang, 14-1. The man presents no information, no science, don't tell you who he called, when he called, how much he called, who's his staff, where's the questionnaire, where they call, if it's cell phone, if it was text, if it was hand to hand, if it was on the ground, it's clung here, and all you're still printing it. Rain Newsday, we know all this PNM, we know it's Judy Raymond, we know that Kamla could never give Judy Raymond what Rowley could. Oh, but Rowley can't get see that now anyway, so it kind of even off. Heinz bashes tutors unconscionable protest in wake of COVID. Let me tell you something, Heinz, you don't bash nobody now. Because then, do you know, there is a group of people who are trying to raise funds, Heinz. They're trying to raise funds to invest in some scientific technology so that they could go back in time and hand your father a prophylactic. You know they have people doing that just to ensure that you don't ever exist, that you don't walk the earth, to ensure that human beings cease to move forward and develop. You have carried us back on the Darwinian scale of evolution, Heinz. Not only with your ugly face, but your lack of intelligence, your lack of integrity, your inability to stay awake, Heinz. So you don't attack no school teachers. You want to attack school teacher? You didn't even know when you take common entrance, your big dance pumpsite, Rasta, Sativa, cloud sleeping, idiot. Mitchell, Naked doesn't understand PM's role under Constitution. Puss in Boots, Puss in Boots, Puss in Boots. You say on Hansard in the Senate that Keith Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister, is the head of state, and you criticizing other people about not knowing anything. You will go down as a parliamentary Hansard dunce forever. You cannot remove that from the record in the annals of history. 100 years from now, children can go to the Hansard of the Senate budget debate on 2023 to hear the most idiotic statement by a minister of tourism ever made, who stated that the Prime Minister is the head of state. You are a complete flipping dance, and it's on record. You know, some people can be dotish and they stay quiet and you never really know. Well, boy, now it's recorded forever. Your stupidity. Here is Clung Puss in Boots. Saying Naked didn't say he'd been writing the TTPS daily, something I can only describe as pestilential. You are such an idiot. David Naked has not written one letter to the TTPS. Not one. You go in the parliament and you lie, you don't research, you don't read a book. You call sport tourism, sporting tourism. You have no clue. You feel that paying money, millions and millions of dollars to host a competition is sport tourism. You are such an idiot. I don't know, listening to you, I lost about 12 brain cells. So I tell Wade Mark, anytime Randall Mitchell talking again, I mute, I go in the caucus room and mute. Because I can't afford to lose my precious brain cells. Me ever want to end up stupid like you. David Naked never wrote the TTPS, you idiot. He wrote 6 letters to the DPP. So your entire presentation and your so-called attack was idiotic at the start and stupid at best. He continued. He claimed the police commissioner might have said. So the letters that the police commissioner did not get, he now talking about what the police commissioner might have said, having read the letters that were not written to him. Here this clown Puss in Boots. The police commissioner would have said, all right, just call him and question him. Really? That's how it works. That's how it works. A police commissioner could just go and question somebody just like that. Just like that, really? Without any sort of trail or potential crime or any thought about there might be a criminal activity there. That's how it works. Your prime minister is as dotish as you. He confessed to breaking the law and misbehaving in public office. He confessed that he didn't want Gary Griffith, that he went to thwart the merit list. He confessed that it was him who went to the president, and he confessed that he took the president out she duster and whisper in she ears, and she then called the next one who had on she nighty to come and remove the merit list from the president's house, Bliss Prasad, that they all admitted that. You idiot. Move in a Puss in Boots. You're nervous now, Alrawi gone, eh? The only, imagine in such an incompetent bunch of PNM, you holding on by a thread, and your thread bus. Randall Mitchell, Puss in Boots, Independent Senator Vera, much to be grateful for. Well, boy, all you should have said is great is the PNM, Independent Senator Vera. Independent Senator Vera, what's your opinion on this indemnity affair? What's your opinion? Or as you are an attorney and you like to talk, what's your opinion on the fact that the Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi was negotiating with a witness in a criminal matter and was paying his fees, paying fees of his attorneys, local and foreign, going to pay, signing to pay his fine for a criminal who admitted, said he was guilty of a crime. What say you? You come to tell we that the economy is great and the PNM is great? Great for you. I'm not even going to read it. Yeah. Look, I'm not, Vera. Boy, it is so sad when you reach so old and you still have to lick Bamsi in life. You understand? You closer to the casket than to the womb, and you still licking Bamsi for success. That something is wrong with y'all. I can understand if you're now coming out, you're young and you're thinking, you want a little opportunity and you go and you lick a little Bamsi. But you reach nearly in the grave and you licking Bamsi still. You ain't shame. UNC. The Prime Minister say UNC searching for a scandal. Well, boy, Paulo Cunahan deal with that already. Right? They say if the UNC is searching for a scandal with this PNM, it's like searching for Kobo in the Labas. Well, Paulo Cunahan. But as I read this, because Senator David Naked has been interviewed and given a full statement to the Anti-Corruption Bureau about Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley and President Paula May Weeks and Bliss C. Prasad August 11 intervention to thwart the list and to breach Section 123(4) of the Constitution. He has been interviewed. Gary Griffith has been interviewed. There is an investigation that is ongoing. Here, Keith Rowley, me I know nothing about that, so me I know them looking to make scandal. Do you think the police just tell a man who like maybe a South businessman who have plenty gun and thing, and he have plenty minister friend. You feel, and they have plenty girls who not talking English around and thing, and they might be investigating something about that. They go to the man and say, hey, you know, we really investigating cómo se llama, a dónde vives, a dónde trabajaste. You think that's what the police do? They go to the man who they investigated and say, hey, we investigating you, you know, because you might be doing this, you might be breaking that law. So we really go in and check so to see so if you break it. That's how it does work. Or the criminal, or the potential criminal, or the alleged criminal don't know nothing until your head clink clink. So Rowley, we're not interested to know if you know. What we know is that 2 potential witnesses have been interviewed and there is an ongoing investigation. So as there is an ongoing police investigation, I have some question for independent Senator Vera and all the independent senators and the Speaker of the House who did not allow debate at the Electoral College when Kamala Persad-Bissessar requested a tribunal to get down, to get the information to investigate the activities of the Prime Minister, the President, and the former chairperson of the Police Service Commission, as well as other members. What say y'all now? Because the police not laughing, the police investigating. So when y'all say that the UNC was turning the parliament into a marketplace, as if a marketplace is a bad thing, it's a very good place, like fish market. I just like to take my fish and get them boys to sell in the market. I haven't been catching, my daughter catch more than me right now, you know. It's called pay last when you don't get nothing, but you still enjoy the fishing. It's nice scenery and so on. What say you, all you independent senators now, who stood there and did not want debate, sat there and let the PNM and the Speaker of the House railroad the situation so that there would have been no investigation? How come the police investigating the same thing now? What say y'all? Cat got your tongue? Silence? Y'all let's go quiet. Nelson, oh gosh, well we ready to roll. Well we ready to roll, Archie. Archie, it getting hot in here like you even turn on the AC. I want to introduce to you a lady who has come to the fore of the political fight. A UNC warrior. When I first saw this lady, I did not know who she was. But once you're on the UNC team, I will be there to support. I went to the Senate because the honorable leader of the opposition requested that I do so, and I went. I dressed up in my nice suit to go and watch them dance PNM on the other side. Along with me came this young lady. Senator Wade Marks said in our first debate in 2020, sometime in September, let Jayanti Lutchmedial lead off. I said, what? I say, but I is a big shot thing. I could debate. I real good. I understand. All right. Me mind. Me told no feelings. But I say, but I hear no Jayanti from nowhere. This lady get up in the Senate and destroy the PNM like chili bibi for an entire 40 minutes. Only intelligence, brilliance, pertinent point. I say, oh Lord, where Kamala find this one? Introducing to you my co-host for this special edition of PNM bribery, indemnity, try to fake case, try to hung down people, nasty, oppressive dictatorship. The Honorable Senator Jayanti Lutchmedial. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Senator Roberts, and thank you very much for having me this evening on this episode of douglAR Politics. Anil, so many things going on.
You start, you go, you talk.
We need to start to talk about why it is people not in handcuffs as yet. We also want to talk about why there's so much silence, and I want to spend a little time this evening. I did it in the budget debate, but I think I need to break it down in language. I don't want to.
Break it down for me. Break it down for me. I don't want
to understand
right.
The history of malice and ill will and malfeasance that the PNM have always embarked upon. I said it in the parliament, but I want to say it again. The PNM weaponize the police service. They weaponize the legal system, and that is why they continue. They do that in such a way to target their political opponents, and we have to deal with them tonight. And it did not start with this Keith Rowley PNM administration. It goes all the way back. We will talk about Piarco 1 a little bit. I want to explain to people because people don't understand. People have been meeting me in the street. I don't know if you had that experience. People meeting and say, look, we know forests do something bad, but we want to know exactly what it is they do. We say about Piarco, we want to know exactly what it is happening. We have about Piarco 20 years now. I'm going to explain to you how the PNM and their interference with and their destruction of our independent institutions that are meant to preserve our democracy has led to the wastage of billions of taxpayers' dollars, several years of precious judicial time. And what I mean by that is, you ever hear people saying, look, I have a case in court 20 years now dragging on, I can't get a hearing yet. Why it is 5 years I'm going to court and my matter cannot start? It is 20 years of judges and magistrates sitting down and hearing matters and so on, all wasted because cases collapse when you realize that some of these cases have been engineered by the People's National Movement, by attorneys general over the years who have utilized their power to try to target the United National Congress. And we want to talk about that. Let's get down with indemnity and Mr. Vincent Nelson. You know, and a lot of people don't understand that Mr. Nelson had a little bit of a history. And I want to take you back to when this government first came into office back in 2015. That very sad day in our history when they came into office. And one of the things that happened in the first year or two of government is that, do you all remember WGTL and the Malcolm Jones matter? The company, the state's company, the taxpayers' company, Petrotrin, lost a substantial amount of money in a bad investment called WGTL.
Just now, Jayanti, my people them substantial is big word. Plenty money. $20 billion lost by Malcolm Jones, and he was an executive chairman. What does that mean? He's like a CEO. He's the PNM. He made the decisions by himself. It's not like a regular board. He kept and he went and it failed and it flopped, and your children money, your mother money, all your money, where all you have to buy coal pot now and ride bike. $20 billion wasted by this PNM scamp, and Kamala and Anand Ramlogan was going on around to give back your money. Go ahead.
Right, so all the people who have been, I think recently I saw people marching, ex-Petrotrin employees marching, they're still waiting on benefits, they're still about their healthcare plan, their pension plan, all of those things that they still have. I hope you're listening tonight about this matter here. So when the UNC government tried to go after him, they got opinions, they got very robust legal opinions, one from local senior counsel and one from a Queen's counsel by the name of Vincent Nelson. And Mr. Nelson wrote a very detailed opinion outlining what the case was about and why it was important to charge and so on, and to go after in civil proceedings, right? Go after him in civil proceedings to recover that bad investment, because as an executive, as a director or as an executive chairman, as a CEO, as Anil said, you have a duty to act responsibly. And this was an irresponsible or probably malicious, we don't know, type of decision that caused well, as I say, 20 billion, as Anil will say, loss of your money, you the taxpayer. And the People's Partnership Administration decided to go after him. As soon as the PNM come back into power in 2015, they start to get opinion. They want to get rid of this matter because, of course, Malcolm Jones was a PNM big boy, right? He's one of them. They wanted to get rid of this.
Come to me. Let me choke in there. And his lawyer, that scamp there, all you might say, God rest his soul. Let me hush, yes. His lawyer of record was Stuart Smallpin Young, who was defending just like Stuart Smallpin Young came into PNM prominence defending Keith Rowley, the lying idiot who brought emails that were not emails. This clung here. That was Malcolm Jones' lawyer. At the time now that Jayanti is talking about, the Attorney General is Faris Ala Johnny Sukaran, the dunce who stay long in law school, and the minister in the office of the Attorney General was Stuart Smallpin Young. Jayanti, what did they do and how did they do it to pull the friend that Rowley had put that same Malcolm Jones, that $20 billion fiasco on the Energy Advisory Committee of the Cabinet. And now he sent Al-Rawi and Smallpin to take his boy out of court. Go ahead.
So then all of a sudden you start to hear announcements coming out of from the Minister of Communications, from Faris Al-Rawi himself, the Attorney General. Now Petrogen had a border, but they didn't make the announcement. The Attorney General saying, listen, this case is going to collapse. And everybody sit down there like, well, but why? But how? How is this case going to collapse? All of a sudden they say they have legal opinions, and this legal opinion that they got said that the case should be withdrawn from the courts. And who write the legal opinion? You seen him there? You seen him? None other than the man who wrote the very detailed opinion saying that the case should be commenced in court. All of a sudden, he flip-flopped and he said no. But they never released the opinion. He said that he had been provided with some statements and so on by other directors, and on that basis, he said discontinue the claim. They never disclosed those statements. One very brave and patriotic citizen who I have to commend, Mr. Ravi Balgobin Maharaj, decided that he will commence litigation under the Freedom of Information Act to see that opinion. The PNM government spent $850,000 alone just here and in the Court of Appeal fighting that application. You know, that application ended up in the Privy Council, and in the Privy Council, they had to hear arguments about this matter and finally ordered the disclosure of it. And what did it end up being? They described it as what? A very short opinion. I don't know if actually has the clip.
Of course. This is douglAR politics, you know. Jayanti, we don't play.
Right. Listen to what they say there.
Run the clip, and people of Trinidad and Tobago, listen to what the PNM, listen to what this flip-flopper, listen to what Rowley, Al-Rawi, and Stuart Smallpin Young did to your country. And then they want to say, bring CCJ. I tell all you, leave them little old white men up there who don't know nothing about Balize, who don't know nothing about Great is the PNM, don't know nothing about Dr. Williams, don't know nothing about Trinidad and Tobago. Them just reading and making decisions and applying the law. Archie, I want my people listen carefully, you know. This is what Rowley and them did. Run it.
It would have been reckless and irresponsible for an officer of the court to go to court knowing that you had no witness statements filed, no material to defend yourself with in terms of prosecuting your case, and worse yet, to then deceive the court and say, well, even though I know I have a bad case, I'm still pressing on. Because so if this matter were to go to trial, as Senator Sturge so boldly suggested, there would have been no evidence by Petrotrin before the court.
I mean, isn't he saying this is all rather extraordinary? There was two pretty confident opinions from senior counsel that the case should be brought against Mr. Jones. It was. In September, there was a change of government. In October, Mr. Jones was appointed to the Standing Committee. Within days, there was a whisper in the papers that the case against him might be dropped. Within 10 days of that, Mr. Nelson is writing a very short opinion, and he's after all dealing with a withdrawal of a $97 million claim, Mr. Rowe, saying that he thinks there's a reasonable likelihood of failure. And then it's withdrawn and discontinued, and all the costs have to be paid. Isn't that the basis for saying we must please see the basis upon which Mr. Nelson cast his pessimism, which led to discontinuance?
Well, my lord, it depends upon what one is concerned with. The way it's put by the appellant in his affidavit is, well, it's necessary to allay suspicions. But to put it bluntly, as we do put it bluntly in our case, bluntly the suspicion is that there's been some sort of political interference in all of this, such that for purely political reasons the new government has decided, irrespective of the merits of the case, that it ought to be dropped.
The Attorney General, as you'll see from the press statement, uniquely referred himself to the Law Association for his handling of the case. Why on earth would you do that? And seventhly, in relation to the points I was making before, the beneficiary of the decision, Johnson, had been appointed to the Government Standing Committee as an advisor just days before the legal opinion was provided to drop the case. That inevitably is going to create public concerns. Second broad point, benefit, it would enable the board of Petrotrin to be held to account by the public. If Petrotrin has now fired all its staff, it was one of the largest employers in Trinidad. 6,000 staff were fired, which for Trinidad is a huge loss. And all of this was a direct consequence of the financial mismanagement which resulted in this litigation concerns. It is naturally a very real concern for people in Trinidad. More specifically, people are asking themselves, why was a claim to recover £97 million of public money withdrawn?
I will not allow myself to be used as the scapegoat in the event there exists a political intention to scuttle or sabotage these matters so they don't proceed to trial. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Mr. Debedine an attorney?
I believe he is.
Was he the attorney, the instructing attorney, who represented Petrotrin when bringing the case?
And I believe so, my lord. I will
So,
check, but I believe you're right.
I think what, had there been further time, Mr. Clayton would have said to us was, it's not just my client, a UMC activist. This is a lawyer raising real concerns about the way in which this has been handled.
There you have it. And Rowley, Al-Rawi, and Stuart Young took that out of court, eliminating the opportunity for you, the people, to recoup your billions of dollars on the say-so of a legal prostitute, a man who took his time, analyzed, wrote a 10-page opinion saying the case strong. Government change. Al-Rawi and them come to waive checkbook. And he said, nah, that case is good. And pull them out. And do you know what was even worse? Stuart Smallpin Young in the office of the Attorney General, who was the lawyer on record, still get paid his fees. Jayanti, take us now for... So you see, the man has now, right at that time, you know the character of Vincent Nelson. You know he pliable. You know dollars does make him mouth wag. Any mouth they pay me like Vishnu Bishram of Nakta. He doesn't say anything. If you want to pay, I don't know. He don't tell me no science. He don't do no poll. He don't do no poll. He does just talk and tell you anything come to him out. He tongue wagging. So now they realize they have a man who just looking for dollars, a man who could say anything at any time, a man of no caliber, a man of no class, a legal prostitute. Jayanti, take us to, now along the timeline.
So chapter 2 now will start with when it is after they realize that this man will do practically, it seems to be, he will flip-flop on himself for money. Mr. Vincent Nelson came to the state and said, listen, I was doing work for the Board of Inland Revenue and so on, and I was promised a retainer. The work didn't actually complete, but he said, listen, I signed a retainer agreement, so whether I do the work or not, you're supposed to pay me. And he threatened to sue the state for 10 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars. $10 million. At the same time, and it is a matter that was out there in the newspapers and reported, I ain't making anything up, Mr. Vincent Nelson was very ill. In fact, it was raised in courts and all of that, whether Mr. Nelson, when he was doing his plea bargaining and so on, about his state of health and the kind of state of health he was in, he needed very serious medical attention and all of that. Suddenly, Mr. Vincent Nelson goes to a lawyer by the name of Roger Kewal Singh. Roger Kewal Singh of Police Service Commission fame, also of the Porsche. What kind of Porsche is Anil? Some kind of fancy Porsche.
Cayenne, you know. All I know is a Porsche that don't transfer good. That's all I know. It don't transfer.
A Porsche that couldn't get transferred for 5 years or something like that.
And who is Roger K. Watson? See this Jayanti, because let me tell you something. I come out the belly of a lawyer. I was put inside the womb by a lawyer. The two fellas who share the womb with me is lawyer. My sister is a lawyer, and my son go be a lawyer, and I is a bush lawyer. And I know all kind of lawyer. Martino, I know WP, I know Tall, I know Alan Alexander. I grew up around these great lawyers and so on. I never hear the name Roger K. while singing no big K. Where they find he?
I don't know, but somehow Vincent Nelson found Roger K. Walsing down in San Fernando and sued the state of Trinidad and Tobago for $10 million. The PNM government.
But hold on, I want to ask you a question. Alrawi and K. Walsing was friend all that time?
Well, it would seem so because he purchased the car from Alwari.
So I go ask a question to my people. All you feel a Jamaican mama pool, a legal prostitute, was able to find a lawyer in South, he might even be able to find Marabella. He might know where Gulf City Mall is. He know about Kingston. He know about Ocho Rios. How
he might know Hyatt.
He might know Hyatt. How he reached quite South to find a lawyer who kind of close and hug up and loving with the tight pants, tight vest, mama pool, TikTok man, Faris, Johnny, Sukaran. How it might be a coincidence, you know?
The member of parliament for San Fernando.
Yes, it might be a coincidence. But I don't believe in coincidence. If all you want to believe in coincidence, that's all your business. But how this man, this pliable legal prostitute, out of all the lawyers, because if you Google search and you seen lawyers, K. Walsing name ain't going to be in the top 200 best, if you understand. You will get all of them Douglas Mendez, well, Gilbert P. Well, them go fall now, right? But you'll get Deborah Peake, you'll get Khan, you go get all of these coming down the road, you go get Roberts, you get Ram Logan, Ram Dean, Lakshmi Dial, well, you are Kamla way up at the top of the list and so on. But where exactly you just find K. Walsing? He could look this man. Archie could find picture anything. Archie could find picture of Shampoo when she was my color. That is how good Archie is. Archie can find picture of K. Walsing, but a Jamaican mama pool find K. Walsing, who happened to be chummy with Faris Alrawi. I don't go ahead, Jayanti. I just
coincidence.
Yeah,
right.
coincidence.
So they sue the state. The state settled the claim by Vincent Nelson for $10 million of your hard-earned taxpayers' dollars and gave it to him. And right after that, not too long after that, and K. Walsing collect, I think, legal fees as well for representing him, because when you settle a claim in civil court, you're entitled to your costs and so on. Most of the time, you negotiate those things with the state, right? It's only Ram Logan, when he's suing the state left, right and center, the state is fight down for cost apparently. They decided that they will pay Mr. K. Walsing's cost, they pay Mr. Nelson's $10 million and everybody think.
But pause there, Jayanti, because you miss a piece. Because I asking you now, if I suing for 10 million and if I go through the whole process, which might take 4, 5, 6 years, and if I win, I could get my 10 million. If I go in and settle in a shorter period, so within a year,
you negotiate down.
And I wouldn't get my full 10. I end up going to take a little 7 or 6.
When you fall down or you're in a pothole or your foot go down in one open manhole or something happen to you, the poor person of Trinidad and Tobago, and you go to the government, you sue them. They go beat you down if they settle. When the Southwest Regional Health Authority, through negligence or something like that, some doctor leave cotton inside of you and you die, or you have to have life-saving surgery and you're never the same. There was a case of the lady who they left something inside of her when she had surgery.
Oh Lord.
And that we were representing. I can't remember her name, escapes me right now. And all of that, you have to settle, you have to negotiate, and you usually go down. But no, they say, okay, it's like heavy drilling. They say, go and appeal the matter. They say, no, it's all right. $19 million in legal fees. And they get a legal opinion saying, go and set aside that arbitration. They say, no, it's all right. We're good. We go pay the money. But with Mr. Nelson, it was like that. They filed, Roger K. Walsing filed the claim. They say, all right, here, look at $10 million, your cost, your everything, and go along the way. Right after that now, all of a sudden, surprise witness against Ramdeen and Ram Logan, Vincent Nelson, gives a statement. And Mr. Ram Logan and Mr. Gerald Ramdeen are charged with offenses which come out of the evidence of Mr. Vincent Nelson saying that he was part of a conspiracy with them to pay kickback of legal fees, and that is why he was getting legal work, and that he was part of some conversation that took place and all of that. And based on that, they decided to charge Mr. Ram Logan and Mr. Ramdeen. Alright? So we're going forward, they lock them up, they search their house, they take the devices, you see, they had to write to get back the devices and so on. you know, they put people through the ringer, as they say. They have to get lawyers to represent them. They go into court, they go into court, they go into court. The DPP have conduct of the matter. Ting. Mr. Edward Jenkins, Queen's Counsel, apparently down here, retained to advise the DPP. Money spending, and we're going down the road. Last year it started to circulate all about this thing called an indemnity. I know all I can't see it here, but I have it here because I want to go through it.
Archie will put it up. You go through it. Archie put it up for them.
And when the UNC first got wind of it last year, it was around the budget debate as well last year, we started to refer to it and we started to talk about it. They started to jump up, oh God, Saddam Hussein started to try to question Faris Al-Rawi in the Standing Finance Committee, and Faris started to jump out the whole self. Or they're trying to get Ramneen and Ram Logan off, or they want to create pre-trial publicity. So we didn't say nothing again. This thing was just circulating out there. Nobody knew if it was right, if it was wrong. They tried to ask a question, they want to blame you. The UNC raised the matter there about legal fees for Mr. Nelson. We found out, yes, they had paid him his 10 million. We did not know anything else for certain. But the DPP last week, and as I say, light over darkness, we are in the season of the Diwali, and I don't care who vex. You can vex how much you want. This is a classic example of two things that old people used to say: whatever is done in the dark has come to the light. And when you're digging hole for other people, you must be careful that you ain't fall in it. And Faris Al-Rawi has fell very deep into the hole that he tried to dig for other people. The question now is, who else he going to drag down in that hole with him? So let me get on to it right now.
So before we put up this on the screen, this indemnity is a legitimate, truthful document. Al-Rawi signature, correct signature is affixed. He admitted and he advised the DPP on 2 occasions that he had negotiated, he had signed. So this is not no fake document. This is a real thing. Al-Rawi say he did it on advice of Gilbert Peterson and Douglas Mendes. So really, Al-Rawi, if you going to cross a four-lane highway and Gilbert Peterson tell you yes, tight pants, you could make it. You're fast, you're in the gym, you're taking growth hormone. That car coming at 100 miles per hour, but you could make it, Faris. And you with your stupid self try to sprint across the highway, get licked down and get cat spraddled and dead. You go say, is Gilbert fault? Go ahead, Jayanti. Archie, if you have the document, put it up because Jayanti going to go through it now.
This document starts off with a most troubling, very troubling. The first line, you know, sometimes you have to read all the way down to start to get the bad part, but this start off bad. It says, in consideration of you, Vincent Nelson, making and giving to the government of Trinidad and Tobago a written statement. What is the witness in a potential criminal matter giving a notarized statement to the government of Trinidad and Tobago? I thought Section 76 of our Constitution established that you have a Director of Public Prosecutions, an independent office holder who is responsible for all criminal prosecutions in this country. And the reason for that is so that you could eliminate any political influence from criminal matters. But no, Mr. Vincent Nelson starts off by saying in here, according to this, that he gave a statement to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And it go down. I, Faris Al-Rawi, MP, Ministry, blah, 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 whatever, in my capacity as Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, exercising the powers granted to me as holder of the said office of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, agree with you on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, its servants and agents. So when Rowley talking about me and all about that and what they're asking me that for, all kind of thing, Faris says in this agreement, which he says was vetted by 2 senior counsel, and I'm telling you, it pain in my heart. It really pains me to know that this is what, if this is true, that this is what we come to in this country, that 2 senior counsel could approve this. But they say that. But they say, when Rowley and he's saying that he doesn't know anything about it, Faris says in this that he's acting on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. What is the government? The government is the cabinet.
Pause right there.
Is Rowley, and actually, do you know that the cabinet could consist of only 2 people, the Prime Minister and Attorney General?
And I want you to rewind a little bit. 2 of them alone. That's why Coleman but asking you. Actually put the camera on me. Let me ask Coleman but a question. Coleman but I heard reports that you went at Al-Rawi and them, and you tell Rowley and Al-Rawi, if all you only say the cabinet do that stupidness, that you sue all of them. Coleman, but is that true? And if it is true, Coleman, but I don't like you. You're dishonest. You bring the worst budget. You're the worst minister. You're not a good engineer. You're arrogant. You're suffering the people. But I'll give you a little clap for that. But let me ask you this. So are you suggesting that Al-Rawi called Douglas Mendes' name and Gilbert Peterson? Are you suggesting that Al-Rawi may have lied, number one? And number two, I see an article here, Jayanti Lutchmedial. I see an article here that Al-Rawi's senior counsel advisors mum on indemnity deal. Newsday, page 18. Two local senior counsel who advised former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi on the written indemnity agreement with Vincent Nelson KC in exchange for information on alleged corrupt legal briefs for Anil Roberts, etc., have remained tight-lipped on the now controversial affair. Let me tell you something. Douglas Mendes, SC, and Gilbert Peterson of now oil fame, you know, bunkering, SC. Why only mom? If you gave someone legal advice, expert advice, and it's legitimate advice, and there is an argument to be made that your legal advice has some merit and does not breach the separation of powers, and the Attorney General could in fact sign a deal with a witness in a criminal matter, and there's no conflict of interest, and there's no political interference, then come and make your argument. Let me read your argument. Let the citizens read your advice and see if it makes sense. Or you're going mum now? All you sick boy, Douglas Mendes and Gilbert Peterson. Is it true you advise the man? Give us the advice. You're all bright. You're all the senior counsel. Make the argument that it is not illegal, that it's not misbehavior in public office, that it is not a breach of the separation of powers, that it is not overstepping the bounds into the DPP purview, that it is okay, that the evidence coming out from that poison document will be worthwhile. Make the argument. And if you stay mum, you're too mama pool. That just shows why this country is as it is. Jayanti, go ahead, put camera on Jayanti.
So, we're moving on now with this agreement. And so what it is that Faris Al-Rawi decided that he could promise to this, as Anil called, legal prostitute, pliable man by the name of Vincent Nelson, who, according to the doctors, was almost on the deathbed. Mrs. Pamela Elder wasn't even sure she would get to cross-examine him. He might have been dead by the time the trial starts. You know, everybody was concerned. He got his $10 million, and now they've signed this indemnity agreement with him. And they said that he will give this notarized statement for the purpose of obtaining orders and any other orders for the disclosure of information, documentation, to bring proceedings against the persons or any of the persons named in his statement, or any of the persons who, in the opinion of the Attorney General, and
leave it up, Archie,
conduct
leave it up.
Similar to the conduct described or documented in the statement. So is it in the Attorney General's opinion who they should bring proceedings against? All right, we're going down the road. Talked about disclosure and so on, but it's the interesting part. The statement will be disclosed to the DPP and the Anti-Corruption Investigations Bureau, but subject to the Attorney General's duty to comply with all laws and statutory enactments, will not be disclosed to any criminal investigatory and or prosecuting authority, tax enforcement authority, regulatory disciplinary, outside the territory of Trinidad and Tobago. What was Vincent Nelson so afraid of in the United Kingdom that they had to put this clause in here? Was he avoiding taxes in the United Kingdom? Was he afraid that he will get disbarred in the United Kingdom? That the prosecutions, that the equivalent of the legal law association, because not like we law association here, them don't play across there, right? If they know that you have confessed to being part of something, or that you are giving a statement of this type or whatever, or that you have engaged in any sort of conduct that is unbecoming of a barrister or a solicitor, they have the authorities over there who will drop licks on you. So I don't know if that's what he was afraid of, but this is what Faris signed to on behalf of the government, promising him not to disclose his statements, right? And they go on down the road now, and they're saying things like the Attorney General undertakes clause 4 to recommend to the DPP, who has the power to determine whether criminal proceedings can or will be commenced against you in respect of any of the matters arising out of his statement, that no criminal proceedings be commenced against you. So the Attorney General is extending to Mr. Nelson a promise to say, hey, I go talk to Roger. I go talk to Roger for you and say, no, don't charge him. Don't charge him. But as we all know, the plea bargain, and plea bargaining is something within the sole remit of the DPP. Only the prosecutor can engage in plea bargaining discussions with someone who wants to turn state witness. And ultimately, what he did is he pled guilty, because that is the terms and conditions that Mr. Gaspard and the officer of the DPP negotiated with him, and he got a fine.
Pause there. Let me ask you all something, and let me break it down for you clear. Would you, good people, if someone came to you and said, listen, we really want to get them two boys there. We need you to say X, Y, Z. You go have to plead guilty, but you are no jail to get. You go get a fine, but you ain't really get the fine. We go pay it with the taxpayer money. We go pay a fine. So you go in and say something, confess to a crime, and there is no punishment whatsoever for you. And then on top of that, we go in and make sure that them fellas who you're going and lie on, them if they can't sue you, because we're going and indemnify you, and we're going and protect you. And if all of this way, you're going to need a lawyer. You're going to need lawyers to do all this kind of thing. But don't study that. You ain't had to go in your pocket. We go in and pay that for you. So you go and say that. You go and do that. You say guilty, no punishment. We ain't paying everything. We go in and pay you. We done pay you, so we paying your boy here, Walsing too. And all of that $20 million. You find that song like a good witness? You find... And you're ready. It's not good people like y'all. Some of y'all good people say, well, boy, if I go in and get 20 million to say that Anil cuff me in my teeth, well, I go say that. If I no jail, no Golden Grove, no tutu bucket, nothing, and they go pay me fine. Me ain't not just making money. I go tell a little lion, he take care of my children. I have to buy a house. I live in here. I get flood out. It a mosquito. Me have no car. I have bike. I cooking in coal pot. Let me take my thing. But on top of that, remember now, Vincent Nelson, who Rowley praised as a Queen's Counsel, well now he's King Counsel, before the Queen dead, Rowley praised him. The man is a legal flip-flopper, a legal prostitute, a legal Copacabana like Boudet who Rowley sit down next to and rub his leg. That one, they knew that. They used him already to get their friend Malcolm Jones out from paying billions of dollars back to you. So they knew it. They knew he weak. They knew he's of no substance.
They knew he was sick. They knew the man was sick.
And me making an excuse for it because plenty people that be sick
no,
and just go to the grave.
Begging for money. The man was basically begging for money.
He's what you call crane. But that he hungry. But not only that, they have hungry people who would never do that. Let me tell you something. I detest Christopher Rowley. Detest. No joke. My father say mustn't say that. I say, Pops, I can't lie. But not one day you see me come here and lie on Christopher Rowley. Not one day, not one time. So let me tell you, you understand what took place? Because even the Express editorials and some of you all are trying to say sometimes the case dropped. There was no case. There was no anything. You have a man, a legal who want money, and he's willing to say anything, and he could say he's guilty of anything, and there was no punishment, no jail, no fine, not a cent, he didn't even have to pay money for lawyers. This was all seen about, so he could lie free. Go ahead, Jayanti.
So the first thing I want to point out, Anil, right here is when they say, apart from that, they undertake to make recommendations to the DPP. Up at clause 2, they said that clause 2, boy, yeah, they said that the statement will be disclosed to the DPP. But we saw now the correspondence. We're quite fast forward, I don't know, years, and this is 2017, This agreement was signed around the same time that Vincent Nelson collected his $10 million and they settled up everything with he and K. Walsing. Coincidence? Again, as Anil said, I can't believe in a coincidence like that. But at the same time, they give you your $10 million and they settle your claim. They sign this with you. But did the DPP know about this in 2017? It doesn't seem so, because when the letter went to the DPP is only when a law firm in the United Kingdom write them down and say, hey, Our client ain't coming to give any evidence unless only pay us and pay Roger K. while saying only have money for all of us. And at that point in time, like Al-Rawi started quaking his boots now and realized flour more than water, or water more than flour, I don't know which is the way. But he started to write the DPP and say, listen, I see the potential for people to think that they may undo it, so I disclose it to you. And Roger Gaspard, in the most eloquent terms as I know him to always be saying, basically say, listen, partner, you see that? Don't bring me in your kankalang. I don't know nothing about that, and you stay there. But that is years later. So what all he was doing with this notarized statement all the time, he was just holding it there and waiting. And I want to find out tonight, and I would like to ask the police who's supposed to be investigating this matter now, because I understand they took a statement from Mr. Al-Rawi already, that we've seen a little snapshot of it circulating. And I would like the DPP. Right, look at it.
But wait, read that there, Jayanti.
Right. Apart from who he discussed it with.
Right. Because Rowley say he didn't know nothing about that.
He said yes, but you see all
well, Faris sell you out. Look,
right.
Doctor. Yes, I discussed the case with Prime Minister Keith Rowley. Hey, they have a next Prime Minister named Keith Rowley, a next bald-head clown. No, that you dishonest email gate liar. Go ahead.
Right. He discussed it as well. He said with ministers in the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, Stuart Young, Fitzgerald Hines, and Renuka Sagram Singh Sukla.
Oh Lord, the police don't harass the lady, and she's sorry. My mother used to wear sari every day. All you don't go and harass the senator, and she's sorry, you know. Huh? Oh Lord, you look lovely senator. Huh? Police, if all your question her gently, okay?
I would like to know when she was discussing this matter. And she said she don't know what kind of court experience I have, but she proclaims to be trained under Mrs. Pamela Elder SC and have so much criminal law experience. If she never read Section 76 of the Constitution and know that criminal matters fall under the remit, and even if Faris is a dunce, if she couldn't open her mouth and tell Faris that is the remit of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
But Pamela Elder has come out with scathing criticism
of course
of the Attorney General and the Cabinet and the government of Trinidad and Tobago in this matter. So how you could say you're trained under Pamela Elder? Well, you didn't pay attention in class. You're just like Puss in Boots. Anybody could go to class, you know. But some people get benefit and educate themselves. Others just pass through like a grain of salt. Yes?
So the Ramai narrator needs to clarify for us about what it is, the Ramlila narrator. I don't know, the Office of the Attorney General, we have a narrator and we have a note taker.
But go ahead now, so read more in there.
Note taker was also part of the discussion about this indemnity. And what Anil was talking about, the promises to pay. The government, this is what it goes on to say, the government of China agrees to indemnify and keep you fully and effectually indemnified at all times.
Oh God!
At all times, indemnified from all actions, suits, proceedings, claims, demands, damages, costs, expense, liabilities, whatsoever which may be taken or made against you, or be incurred, or become payable, or sustained by you by reason of the breach of any of the undertakings contained herein.
Explain that to the people.
Any kind of, you don't have to put out a black cent, Vincent Nelson. We paying everything for you. We paying KYC fee. We paying the fees for the British solicitors. We paying, if anything were to happen to you as a result of the disclosure of that notarized statement we give you, we paying. Well, you know something?
I want to break it down for people more. If a man is going to lie, there is a real risk that he will be found out, that he'll be caught in a lie. A real risk, especially when you're dealing with intelligent people, when you're dealing with senior counsel, when you're dealing with lawyers who know they did no wrong, and they will know to get you, and you had to get cross-examined, and you could be caught by Pamela Elder in a lie. And if you're caught in a lie, then the likely and probable action therein following that is that you get sued and you have to pay all the millions to Ramdin and Ramlogan. So now this thing is saying, boss, you do your lie, you lie hard, you lie strong, because me, Faris, Al-Rawi, Treasury, the people with the email gate lying Prime Minister, and the other lawyer who defended the email gate liar, we is the lying posse. We go in and protect you. Go ahead.
So, lo and behold, in May of this year now, because somebody, and we don't know who that person may be, we think it might be somebody who wanted this whole thing to come to light. is nobody in the UNC because we didn't have it. Of course, this was kept under lock and key, but somebody with access to
But
these
it's
things.
small pin. Why did it have this small pin on this table
Yes,
here?
yes, this is a dangerous thing.
Archie, you must not leave a small pin on the
Come.
table.
Right.
Come now, man, the show going on Jayanti talking. You have a small pin.
So
you have
somebody-
a small. So,
Right.
let me move the
Somebody-
small pin.
Right,
Okay.
move that small
Yeah.
pin from there. Yes, somebody, it would seem, ended up getting this indemnity agreement out the window. It leaked into the public, and then the statement that Mr. Nelson gave saying that he was part of a criminal enterprise made its way all the way across the pond to the United Kingdom and landed in the lap of the tax authorities, of the professional regulators across there, and so on, who regulate the legal profession. And it would seem, because it is under lock and key in the Hall of Justice right now, although Mr. Vincent Nelson is carried today in the newspaper saying, I never instruct my attorneys to seal this claim.
Well, but
Who's the attorney? Wait,
okay, all right.
The claim, we get into that.
All right. I rush in the brush. I never calm down.
The claim
cold pot
was
there hot yet.
filed this year. The claim was filed in the court in Trinidad and Tobago by Mr. Vincent Nelson, and it's $150 million that could fix pothole Rohan, that could build bridge Sanahi Trace. I went down there to get my little sari stitch of the wali and saying the bridge falling down.
So if the government lost, if and
They
Al-Rawi,
lost that claim for 100 is 100.
Who want to pay that?
Me and you and all.
How we getting that?
1,000 viewers. We just hit 1,000 viewers. Looking at that.
1.1.
1.1 now. It's all you had to pay it because Faris signed this piece of paper on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the cabinet, a cabinet which could have possibly consisted of he and Rowley alone.
But wait, at this and Faris is a man who lost 30 straight case. So the taxpayers now, the legal prostitute now have a case against you, your children, your road, your corporation, your pothole, your drain, your recreation ground that can't cut. It have it against your wage increase. That's why you can't get
laptop.
no laptop, no textbook. A man say in the Senate, them was vexed with Tim Gopi Singh for giving the children textbook because it had one or two mistakes. But they're not vexed now that they have no textbook, right?
So go ahead. Really had to be shameless.
What?
Them government, yes, oh God. Them say people was vexed.
So the legal prostitute now have the country of Trinidad and Tobago under pressure of possibly losing to be the, and our warriors have to be this done here. This and the next lie more who does lie on statement and affidavit. Them have to defend all your money against the legal prostitute from what they created and the couture them create. And Gilbert Peterson and Douglas Mendes, all your hushing, all your eating stew chicken and lentil beans on a Sunday. And Gilbert flipping Peterson, Rowley neighbor in Inez Gate, and Douglas Mendes. Yes, man. All you went through your whole life to be so bright, to yet be so dumb.
But here the better piece of the couture reported in the newspaper today. And not UNC talking about this, it's Newsday saying this, right? Nelson's claim was filed in May this year by one of his former attorneys who represented him at his plea deal hearing into 2019 and 2020. Now that is a matter of record, we will find it. You could go and look it up and see who represented him. Information obtained by Newsday shows Nelson fired the attorney who is a member of the PNM. Not the UNC, you know. Not the we call Abdullah party, not the I can't remember.
They don't have a party. You go ahead. Stay focused, right?
Yeah. That is
Where you going?
No party. Nobody else. A member of the PNM that represented Vincent Nelson to cut the deal, to give the evidence and all that, is the man who filed a claim against the state of Trinidad and Tobago, and the state now represented by, I don't know who represented them. Is Armour there because he just had to recuse himself too and sign thing he ain't know about it. So I don't even know. Trying to get this claim kept under lock and key, but we are telling you, Mrs. Pasal Bisasa has already started to put the information out there. We have it on good information. That, and if they want to sue me again, they could sue me around Logan and go deal with them.
You know what is the interesting thing?
$150 million.
This one, the the King Council prostitute, right? He said no, full disclosure, accountability, transfer. Now he's a legal prostitute, and he's saying, no man, let the people know. he actually have more scruples
Than
than the PNM.
I'll tell you when you interrupt me.
Oh, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we reach in this country here tonight. A letter was written to the state saying we intend to make an application. We want this claim unsealed. Let the people know the truth. And well, you know, from the time the PNM hear truth, they just get frightened. Because truth and PNM is two opposite ends of the spectrum. Transparency and accountability, them don't know about that. Them will bring whole bills to the parliament to cut transparency and accountability. When them hear them kind of words, them just get frightened. You know that if application haven't been filed because they disagree and they say no, we object to it. The application filed, them going in court now and argue down this thing. So it will continue to unfold. We want to see when the claim, or if the claim will be unsealed, who it is, sent the information to the United Kingdom, who was the attorney that originally filed it.
Explain something now for me. Explain the separation of powers, the constitution, what is the remit of the DPP. Have you ever heard about something like this before in the history of jurisprudence in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, we have had examples, and we have had some recent examples, and we've had some examples in the past of PNM attorneys general who decide that they must overstep their bounds. Let me explain very carefully to you, and I want to say something tonight. I said it when we had the Police Service Commission fiasco. I said, you have to like Gary Griffith, you know. It's not about Gary Griffith. This is about the rule of law. You have to like the rule of law. You have to like democracy. You don't have to like Annan and Gerald. You have to like living in a democratic society where you are offered the protection of the law and that nobody can come after you by a process that does not follow the law. And that is where we have a problem here. Because you have people conspiring against people, and today it could be a meritless going missing, being stolen out of president's house, and you being like, as we see somebody from the Board of Inland Revenue had to complain against the, and go to court as well. Political victimization. You see Jawala Ramaran lick up him both in 2 cases with political victimization.
It could be property tax because it's PNM appointing PNM to assess your house. And do you think they will assess a PNM house the same as a UNC house? This country is under a dictatorship. The institutions that are supposed to act independently have been poisoned with Balisade juice. Explain the function of the DPP, Madam Senator Jayanti Lutchmedial.
The DPP's office is supposed to be independent of any political influence. That person who sits in the chair of the Director of Public Prosecutions is the only person who can say yay or nay when it comes to putting somebody in court for a criminal offense. If you are charged with a criminal offense, the DPP, that person sitting in that chair, that one individual man, that office holder could say, discontinue that matter against that person. If it's a traffic ticket or if it is murder, and anywhere on the spectrum, that man, and I want to say something, that man taught me and hundreds of other attorneys who passed through DPP's office what it means to be a Minister of Justice. And so I am saying to him tonight, Mr. Gaspar, I'm very proud of what you did last week, Monday. Not because Annan is my friend and I work with him and all of that. If you did it for anybody else, I would still say I'm proud of you based on the circumstances that have unfolded here. All right? But I am telling you tonight, there's far more, a lot more that you have to do. Very respectfully, if you're listening,
okay,
when somebody tell you,
no,
I will get into it.
Now get into that for me, because people are confused, people want clarity. What crimes could have been committed in what all that you have described for the last 50 minutes? What are the possible criminal repercussions?
Right. There is an offense called perverting or attempting to pervert the course of public justice. I remember doing cases while I was a prosecutor of attempting to pervert the course of public justice, and let me give you the facts. 2 fellas get in a fight. The policeman charged. He realized, look, there's friends, they're from the same village or whatever. The one who was injured, they go to the mother and say, listen, the boy who hit your son, the mother willing to give all a little change, pay the medical expenses, even give you a little extra little thing there, you know, all the settle up this thing and let the case dismiss. Police officer get a case for that. You cannot attempt to influence a witness in a criminal matter. That is perverting the course of public justice. And if you are a public office holder, it is even worse, because when you do something like that and attempting to pervert the course of justice, you are also guilty of misbehavior in public office. And I don't want you to take my word for it. You know what I was doing while I was sitting here waiting on Anil? I was looking at the Crown Prosecution Service, which is the UK equivalent of the Director of Public Prosecutions. They give a lot of guidance. It is something that all lawyers look at when you want to know. It's called the charging standards for an offense like this. And they tell you what that offense consists of and so on, and what you should do, what you should look at when you are determining whether to charge someone with perverting the course of justice, and what does it really entail and so on. And they tell you that the following factors will be relevant to all public justice offenses, assessing the seriousness of it. And it talks about motivated by misplaced loyalty to a relative or a friend, whether the activities of the offender drew in others, whether it was intended to result in trivial or serious harm, and whether it actually resulted in that type of harm. When you look at serious harm, what serious harm are you trying to bring when you engage in this conduct? It says it enables a potential defendant in a serious case to evade arrest, or causes the accused to do certain things that avoids police investigation. It misleads a court. It puts another person in real jeopardy of arrest or prosecution, or results in the arrest or prosecution. So when you are involved in these type of activities, and what you are doing is really laying a foundation, plotting a course, digging a hole to ensure that someone else is arrested. That is one of the things that you must consider when you are looking at a charge of perverting the course of public justice. And these are facts that have to also be considered. And when it goes this, they go on to say the following are examples of acts which may constitute the offense. The first one, persuading or attempting to persuade by intimidation, harm, or otherwise a witness to give evidence.
Repeat that, please.
Persuading or attempting to persuade by intimidation, harm, or otherwise. And by otherwise, they mean by an inducement, by an indemnity, by settling a claim for $10 million.
Inducement is a big word for bribe.
Bribe,
Yeah.
okay.
I like to break down my words them. My vocabulary is so good. Bribe.
A witness to not give evidence. And what was Vincent Nelson described as by the DPP in his correspondence when he tell Alwari, look, stay in your lane, die your business, and don't get me involved in your kankalang. Vincent Nelson was a potentially a very important witness in this trial. So this very important witness, and from the time Vincent Nelson filed that claim against the state and was making all these allegations, which I'm sure the DPP is aware of. I hope he's aware of it. And Mr. Director of Public Prosecutions, I want to say again tonight, Mr. Gaspar, with all this respect, we go way back. I love you. I want to say something tonight. If it is that you are not a party to those proceedings, you must become a party to those proceedings, because you cannot depend on Reginald Armour, Al Rawi, Sagram Singh Suklal, and the rest of them to go to the court on behalf of the state of Trinidad and Tobago and say, no, keep these proceedings private in the interest of the public. They are not seeking the public interest, they are seeking the PNM interest. So you should be made an interested party, whether by the court doing it,
They are seeking their own interest, because from what you read there and describe, it could have some criminal charge for some of them.
Well, if this was what Faris is saying in his Faris Al-Rawi said to the police that he consult all of them, this sounds like a conspiracy.
Well, pause there as you say all of them, because let me tell, put up a picture of Keith flipping Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Take Jayanti off the screen and leave me and Quitos, El Capitano, El Ballhead Dodo. Put him up there. And let me tell you something, Keith Christopher, Email Gate, Land Gate, Renaissance, Greenvale, Delsey Gate, Nasty Lion Gate, teacher who needed to groom a girl of school age to get pum-pum. Let me tell you something, clown. This is what Keith Christopher Rowley said. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has defended himself and his cabinet, saying that they had no role in the indemnity issue with the King's Counsel Vincent Nelson in the now collapsed corruption case. He assured the people that he'll continue to tackle crime and so on. Why they calling my name? The cabinet have nothing to do with that. Really? Let me tell you something. Well, not you, because you... Let me tell the people something. Faris Al-Rawi is the Attorney General. Keith Christopher Rowley appointed Faris Al-Rawi as Attorney General at that time. The cabinet consists of Faris Al-Rawi and this clown, Keith Christopher Rowley. So when Faris Al-Rawi has a document that is signed on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the government of Trinidad and Tobago in our Westminster system is Keith Rowley and Faris at the time. It does not need any more cabinet. It don't need no minister of sport. It don't need no minister of labor, no minister of culture. The cabinet is this bald, horny goatweed, this village ram who suffering injury right now, and Faris tight pant them too. That the government. This was signed by the government. The word say the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So Keith Rowley, how it could be the government? Faris dotish, he's stupid, but he not totally mad. He ain't need blue tablet. He can sign something on behalf of the government without you knowing. Now call me, but might know. They don't need no minister of finance to have the cabinet. Look, the cabinet right here next to me. The whole cabinet of the government. Look them there. So Rowley talking stupid, that's very sad. Rowley talking stupidness about leave me out of that. No! You in it. You in it like dumpling in soup on a Saturday. You in it like how you was in bundles and Foster had to come to. You in it to win it, boy. You is it. So don't try to talk no stupidness furthermore. All of that millions Jayanti talk about. Money that cannot jump out of the treasury just so. Money can't just float out the treasury. It have ways that you have to get money out the treasury. For the money to come out the treasury, a permanent secretary had to go through the processes, through a vote that is approved, and money is released from the Ministry of Finance. The only way that a permanent secretary can get that money released is to have some sort of authority. For the amounts of money above $1 million, the cabinet, the government, which is here, look the cabinet here. So it don't need no Paula Guppy school in she reasonable care. It don't need no Marvin Gonzalez in his suit that they only measuring the inside seam, he and Ecliff Eli. It don't need them. It only need these two crown. And it need this prime ministerial cabinet approval. The prime minister could give approval at any time. For the money to come out above $1 million, it had to have a cabinet approval, a pink note, an approval of this prime minister, this cabinet here. So Rowley could talk what stupidness he want, and he playing games with words saying that the government had nothing to do with prosecution. Okay, true, because the DPP was trying to prosecute, but the DPP was not aware that his entire case was made up by a legal prostitute who was liming with a tight pants dunce and supported by a bald-head liar. So poor DPP, well, God bless you. I watching to see what you doing. And Faris, police, boy blue, Jayanti.
You know, before we go back, I just want to ask, because Anil, we crossed 2,500 viewers tonight, and I think this is probably a record for us here on douglAR Politics.
It's our YouTube, it's our Facebook, it's about 37.
I want to remind the population, imagine
Shit.
2,500 of you, please think about this. You see them two people who we just had up on the screen there? All they trade Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Anna Ram Logan for them two. Just think about that. We should have a moment of silence. Light 2 candles. For yourself and for this country. When you think about the fact that when I watch the two of them, that's what I thought in my mind. You know, we trade Kamla Prasad Bisesa, caring, loving, genuine, hard-working, brilliant woman. And Anna Ram Logan, the man who only winning case by case by case up in the Privy Council and dropping it on the PNM.
Let me make one more point as I say that I nearly forget. Some people ask, including myself, what take the DPP so long? You see, me, I just like to eat curry quick and burn my mouth, right? When I smell that curry thing, I around kitchen long time, but I can't cook. A man come in the Senate to say, Rowley, around long. Yeah, you could be around long and be wrong. You understand? I want to let you know why the DPP would have taken a long time. Because when you're making a decision after the horse done bolt and you're going to charge former attorney general and senator and thing, you had to try to see if they could find some way to keep the case going. The case was based on the legal prostitute word, right? Now this man wasn't aware that the legal prostitute had been paid the fees for prostitution. So the DPP would have gone and let the police, all you find? All you have an account, a check, a deed,
have anything at
or
all,
something,
anything,
a WhatsApp,
anything.
all you have Pegasus, something. What else in the case? You know, like in a murder case, you have fingerprint, you have ballistics,
DNA, well,
you have
none of that.
DNA, you have thing, you have witness statement, you have CCTV camera, you have all kind of thing. So he must have been fighting when he realized it only have the word of the legal prostitute. The man say, oh God, or they'll throw egg in my face. Felt out that it had no case. So that's where the time was taken, because in these things, I find it should have go faster and thing too, because but
all of this was done by the machinations and on the brilliance of a man who, while Ram Logan winning case, I wouldn't give Faris a case a stag the whole. But
hey, don't bad talk stag. What you getting in there for?
I wouldn't even try
a case of stag is a good thing. That's a local thing. No man, you wouldn't give him a case of cow down.
A case of nothing.
Right.
Nothing to no kind of case. I wouldn't give it to whole.
Case
right?
of stag.
Stag.
The man's here. All you know bad dog make the local.
Right.
I know.
Not me, but other people.
Right.
Let's go on. So this is where we are right now. But before we move on to all, let me tell you, outside this is the DPP's office has not. This is not the first time they overstepping. And I want to give a little throwback here. Only remember Piaco 1? I was in high school. And I only know. So it's a long time.
Which high school you went?
Napoli McGill's high school.
Good school. They like Fatima boys.
No. I
What?
don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
According to you, everybody like Fatima boys.
Correct.
That's all right. When I was in NAPS, I was hearing about Piaco 1 corruption. I think that has to be the largest corruption case. So you know the Piaco, what they call Piaco 1, has been going on for, I don't know, about 20 years. And that case collapsed in the Privy Council. And do you know why it collapsed? Because of interference by an Attorney General. Which Attorney General you ask?
PNM.
A PNM Attorney General.
PNM.
John Jeremy, who got together with people like Andre Montoya and others to conspire and to influence, at that point in time, the chief magistrate who was hearing the case against Pandey and against Sat Sharma.
Disgusting.
And they had a whole tribunal, and I read from the report when I was in the Senate.
It was scathing. Read for the
report
people.
again.
And then all you want the PNM, the man who signed an affidavit would lie in it, telling all you, remove them white people from Privy Council and give it CCJ. Paula May Weeks could have been a CCJ judge. And look what she do. On August 11, 2021 with Rowley and Blissy Prasad. So all you feel? Leave them people up there in the cold, yes? Across the pond.
We need them. We really need them. I know it's only one. In the Senate, we only get all kind of motion from the independent bench. Remove Service Commission. Is Service Commission put Roger Casper there?
The what?
Legal Service Commission.
The what bench?
We get that bench behind.
Oh, that bench behind there. Because they put PNM behind me and all.
But that bench.
But read something from this. This is the after they hear all the arguments and so on. A case of 20 years, PNM balling, all kind of things.
They say the concept of separation of powers seems to have been ignored. The picture is troubling indeed, both for the tribunal and for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. There was a land transaction that the chief magistrate who was hearing the matter was involved in, and he wanted to get back his money, and Andre Montoya and all of them were involved, and it was a basic overstep and an overreach and influence by John Jeremy.
The PNM AG, look him there. And by the way, John Jeremy was a small pin boy, Asha Javid boy.
Yeah.
How that happen? A small, I mean, a big bat but a small pin. Oh God, poor fella.
And that is what the Mustil Tribunal concluded. Small group colluded to pervert justice. You see all that thing I just read there for all about perverting the course of justice? It's going on long time with the PNM. Every time you have a PNM Attorney General, and I'm saying it now and I make no apologies. I don't care anymore. I just try to be respectful to people. But it seems like there's only one criteria to be an Attorney General on a PNM. You have to be a shameless, bold-faced liar. You have to be a shameless, bold-faced liar.
But wasn't there a DPP back then called Jeffrey Henderson who was standing strong against that? Wasn't
Jeffrey
it
Henderson stand up like a man of steel. And I am so proud. Jeffrey Henderson, who was the DPP when I joined that office. Geoffrey Henderson stood up to that man they call John Jeremy because he was trying to influence him as well. He tried to interfere with the DPP, he tried to interfere with the chief magistrate, but he found something that he could use Montai and them boys to influence the chief magistrate, and because of that...
But when you say that, I want to tell you the people, that's why you must have independent, strong people to do their job. You must have an independent central bank governor, not Alvin Riley, who's the neighbor Rowley in Gate. You must have in the Senate, you must have independent senators, not Lick-Bamsey senators. You must have a police commissioner who is not taking instruction from Rowley, Imbert, and Fitzgerald Hines. You must have independent institutions that are functioning. When you come into tax, you must not have a revenue authority appointed by PNM. The man in charge, the general appointed by the PNM board, you must not have that, because it was strong people like Geoffrey Henderson that saved this country from being a failed state back in 2007, 2008. It is now Gaspard who is saving this country. They want the PNM carrying us down into failed state status, and only strong people who just do your flipping job.
We must also have, as you must say, we must have strong police. We must have a police commissioner who name actually on the merit list, and the merit list mustn't go missing. Forget strong and just at least let them be qualified, and the name had to be there first to begin with.
Correct.
But let's go back to what Mustel said, because I think it's important. He put it in his report, 2007, you know, it is plain that the imputations are that they, meaning Jeremy, PNM, Montai, all them, that they got together and influenced what was being done. What has been said is that there has been a small group of conspirators designed to pervert the course of public justice, and the Attorney General, at the very least, was a part of the scheme. Imagine these people still walking around. Imagine, because PNM is in power, these people are still walking around. Imagine a case that cost the taxpayers of this country 20 years of, must be millions of legal fees. We have to file our freedom of information because to get the legal fees associated with that matter. It went to the Privy Council, it come back, you know, your case can start when you get locked up for a little bit of marijuana, so something.
Let me also say, before I give you time to summarize and wrap up, let me also tell all you something. Bastille Pandey, a man who fought, a warrior for the people, one of the greatest, most skillful politicians in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, a brilliant orator, a man who implemented policies to save this country, a man who operated a government with a oil price between $8 and $15 a barrel. A man who had the foresight to include in his cabinet Kamla Prasad Bisesa as an Attorney General and Minister of Education. A man who, if the Constitution was not breached by A.N.R. Robinson, would have continued to be Prime Minister and carried this country to be Dubai instead of to be Labas, now under the PNM. And that is true. Everywhere is hole, everywhere is flood, everywhere is garbage, everywhere is bush, everywhere is no jobs, everywhere everything is shattered. Let me tell you this, that Bastille Pandey spent days in jail and was charged because he was unaware. Not because of any corruption, not because of any mismanagement, not because of any movement of money. He did not fill out his form, an account that his wife had. He didn't know about it, he didn't put it on the form. And he was charged and dragged up and down them court steps and even spent time in jail. Keith Christopher Rowley knew he bought a house. He knew he bought the house. He knew he got a $468,000 discount from a contractor who was getting state contracts. He did not fill it out. He has not filled it out. He did not put the correct value and he signed it. He put the price at 1.2 and the value at 1.2. It was valued at 1.68 to 1.8. Therefore, there was a personal benefit. He did not declare the benefit. Where the charges, where the up and down the steps, where the Golden Grove. This is because your country is being run in a manner that is dictatorial without merit and must be stopped. So Jayanti Lutchmedial, summarize all that we have said this evening.
What we have tried to explain to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, is we have put Vincent Nelson, we have done a character sketch for you. For those who did literature in school, you will understand. We have done a character sketch for you of the man they call Vincent Nelson, represented by the man called Roger Kewal Singh. And Anil, I know we had a discussion about this, but I have to end off, and I want to ask a particular question because I think it is very important. We have filed a series of freedom of information requests about legal fees and so on, and Mr. Kewal Singh's name is coming up over and over. Southwest Regional Health Authority, I think the political leader talk about Petrotrin and a lot of legal fees being paid and so on. It was raised in the public already that at a point in time, whilst all these millions and millions of dollars were being collected in legal fees, which for Mr. Kewal Singh was saying he was doing work for all these authorities, ministries, state enterprises and so on, that there was a particular person in his family, I'm not going to get into it and all of that with names and so on, who had a medical condition and needed treatment. And there was a GoFundMe account to raise money. Now, I am forced when I see that, and I put that, when I line that up, the fact of GoFundMe, I always trying to give money for people that will GoFundMe and think people have cancer or some kind of operation they need and need to get a little treatment. I always try to give whatever it is, $100, $200, $1,000, whatever I could give, I will give. And I remember seeing this, but when I line up this thing that you need a GoFundMe account to assist a relative, but you're collecting, I think, I don't know, one case alone, I know it crossed $1 million here, $1 million there, Petrotrin, Southwest Regional, and all of that. And I have to ask the question, you ever remember when Faris used to come in the Senate pilot and bill and he said, we must follow the money, we must follow the money, we must follow the money. Is Mr. Kewal Singh a conduit? Is he a conduit for money to go and hold for someone else or go back somewhere? Is it money just passing through? Because I don't understand how you could be collecting money to represent Vincent Nelson, you're collecting money to represent Petrotrin, you're collecting money to represent Southwest Regional Health Authority, you're doing well, you're booming with state briefs, you're driving a Porsche that used to belong to the Attorney General, and you need a GoFundMe at the same time. There's not before, it's not after. The money coming in, you're still getting work, as far as we know from Southwest Regional Health Authority. So I'm asking the question tonight, is there more? What's the expression? More in the mortar than the pestle. Is there more in the mortar than the pestle? Do we need to follow the money? You know, the FIB, it is now in the public domain, went to court and got a production order about several companies linked to my friend, Minister Foster Cummings, who wants to put me in court and silence me. But I think that power to get a production order might be well utilized in a case like this, because we have to follow this money. The second thing I want to say is that all that we have said tonight about the millions of dollars paid to solicitors in London, paid to Vincent Nelson, paid to this one, paid to that one, agreements, indemnity, agreements on behalf of the state to pay all the fees and all of that. We have to talk about other people in London collecting, and next at a legal prostitute. We need a whole next show to deal with them. Collect at $35 million because, like I tell you, they say that they are specialist prosecutions. Prosecutions is what is a specialty, but I think it's specialist prostitution. Because if PNM say jump, they say how high. If PNM say wind to the side, they ask them left or right. Which way you want me to go? And that is prostitution, not prosecution. Prosecution is what we see Geoffrey Henderson and Roger Gaspar doing. But the PNM don't want them advice. The PNM want 35 million of your dollars to go to London. They want to get other people involved. They want to procure opinions and so on and go forward. When the government change, I want to give a promise tonight, whether they are inside or outside or whatever, I could tell you, under a United National Congress government, and the time will come, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, next year, whatever it is, we will do everything possible within our legal authority as a government to recover that money spent from the treasury. Your taxpayers' dollars that not fixing pothole, not buying laptop, not fixing bridge, not buying textbook, not buying gauze for the hospital, not finishing the schools that are left unfinished for 7 years out of malice and spite, not being used to open the Couva Children's Hospital, not being used to pay and support our athletes. We will recover all of that money from these people who basically, you know, there's an expression that they use, well, I won't say the correct word, but say when you find a donkey, you have to ride it. There are people sitting down in London right now probably saying, look at them donkey and them down there that we find in the PNM. Let me ride it. Let me ride it and let me milk it for every cent we could get out of them. And them sit down checking the money. And they're telling you take 4% or nothing. You have to sit down and you cannot get anything. You cannot get a proper scanner working on the port to make sure that AR-15 ain't coming out there to shoot up your house or to shoot up around Pennywise when you're shopping with your child. You cannot get that. But they could sit down in London probably laughing and saying, look at them donkey and them in that cabinet. That is so full of hate and malice, and know that the only way that they could stay in power is to use and manipulate the system to attack the UNC and to attack their political opponents. They cannot play fair, and you know what? We could get rich off of them. We could get rich off of them. And that is what people are doing. They are using the fact that the PNM is so weak, and they are so dunce, and that they are so intellectually, empty and hampered, that they could get rich by taking money from them and say, yeah, pay we go get Nelson for you, we go get this one, we go get that one, and we go help you lock up this one, help you lock up that one. And they are making money, your money, off of them and all of that. So we will do everything in our power. There's much more that we have to say. I think this, when you pull a thread on your clothes and just see hanging on, the whole thing will start to unravel. I think we now pull the thread. We have some names, and we have a list.
Call the name. I want to hear them. Call the name.
When we reach 3,800 viewers.
Yeah, call the name.
I wanted to take
because I'm not hearing them.
Paper. These are the people we want to hear from. Afra Raymond. Where you there? We are hearing you. You are a man always, you have an opinion on everything. I ain't hearing you. Roger and Abdullah, although they're kind of irrelevant, we still, all you went and make friendly PNM and but all they have an opinion on everything, and I think all they starting to see the light. Where are you? Well, we want to hear what
Who else? Call them.
We want to hear from Father Harvey, the pillar of moral and ethical standards in this country. Helen Drayton, oh God, write a whole column on this. You're supposed to write a column already. I find you sticking. We want to hear from Transparency International.
Transparency what?
I don't know where they're going.
They're gone.
The day PNM win election.
Derek Maurice, the High Commissioner to Jamaica, die where it gone.
They pull out of this country.
Call name. Reginald Dumas, where you, boy?
Dumas, where are you? You have everything. You have an opinion on Mala Dukran.
Who is she?
Petition.
Who is she?
We want a petition, online petition.
Who is she?
I ain't know, but I hear she's make petition.
Petition?
I want to hear about the petition to get the police and the DPP and everybody to investigate this matter. I want a petition to get Nelson.
Who else called? Professors, retired public servants.
Oh, yeah.
Hungry man. Oh, Lord.
You're supposed to be on a hunger strike. Oh, no. Mr. Koblal Singh. You're supposed to be on a hunger strike all now, so
look my boy Kirkwaite,
he's still alive. I don't hear here.
No, he have to go in a court case. I think he owes somebody money to take him to court. But what we are saying is we must stop the nonsense to the media while you all seem on this one to be telling the truth, because it's so bad there's no wiggle room in this one. You understand? But all you have been wiggling and waggling on Rowley since 1991, since 1995, since Landed, since Greenville, since Renaissance, since making child with a girl of school age, since 1969, since Email Gate, since Horner Gate, since Delcy Gate, since HDC Gate, Bridgman's Gate, Contract Gate, Petrotrin Gate, fake oil man dancing and using racial epithets. You all let him ride. But now you have to stop riding, light the coal pot and burn fire on the PNM. Before I thank Senator Jayanti Lutchmedial for co-hosting douglAR Politics with me tonight. Let me say that when I say good night now, don't go no way, because I'm going to remind you about who is this Faris, this Johnny Sukaran, this man who don't want to be Indian, want to change, and tell me that I don't like people in Trinidad and Tobago, that I don't like foreigners. Faris, Johnny Sukaran, this is you. People, watch who was your Attorney General, who is now your Minister Puya, and who? Police, Boy Blue. Good night. Watch this video. Just to let you all know, the UNC has called for the AG to resign. Let me give you a list of reasons why Faris, you is so many reasons. I had to write it out, We had to research it and type it out. Faris, the United National Congress is calling upon you and your big muscles to resign from the office of the Attorney General, because let's go way back. You should have resigned a long time, You supported and defended Emailgate vehemently. knowing full well that Keith Rowley went in the parliament and lied. You concocted an argument that even had former Justice Ventor losing his PNM Balizé juice out his air hole to talk about content of something that did not exist. Right then and there, you should have resigned. When you gave the wrong advice and you went and swore in before Rowley in 2015 in September, imagine you with your tight shirt, your muscles weren't that big, like the growth hormone didn't kick in yet, but you went and swore in before Rowley, not even understanding what is the process of the Constitution, who is the boss. But like you want to be the boss, Paris. The AG, you didn't even claim your children when they was holding them gun and shooting it. You're afraid. Everybody knows your children. The whole world knows your children. And where did that investigation reach? You didn't even tell the country that, yes, that's my children, and whom I'm most pleased. You should have resigned then. You should have resigned with the 37 recusals from cabinet in the original PNM government from 2015 to 2020. In the Daryl Smith sexual harassment case, you were defending Daryl Smith and reported you drafted the NDA, a non-disclosure agreement with grabbing Pum Pum. You defended a Pum Pum grabber as Attorney General, and now talking about women's rights, domestic violence, and now you want to bring we in fet. No woman want to go in fet with man who defending Pum Pum grabber. You know what man does do, what kind of sickos is going fet and grab Pum Pum, and you would defend them. And if you would defend them, you would line with them. So you should have resigned. You brought laws to deal with crime and the staffing of the DPP office, but the attempts to control the police service and the Police Service Commission have led us into disrepute now. No, actually, no problem that I don't want to put people children near mind that. I believe he, are dealing with he, this big clown, this big total mascara wearing dunce idiot Johnny Sukaran, who drive 120Y until he meet his wife and now driving 5 Porsche. What? He could sell 3 Porsche in 4 years. Pepper spray legislation, you resisted it for years. The Malcolm Jones case that you withdraw, when Anand Ramlogan had case in there to try and give back the people money, and you pull him out of court. And not only that, you pay Stuart Young the fees for defending Malcolm Jones. You should have resigned then and there when the Privy Council was laughing at Trinidad and Tobago, not believing that we could have such an incompetent dunce as Attorney General. The Ken Julian case with Bamboo Networks withdrawn also. Even though Ken Julian invested that 31 million of taxpayers' dollars against the advice of former minister in the Ministry of Finance, Christine Sahadeo. The AV oil scandal that you did not advise and instruct and guide the government to appeal, and you went against, your government went against through the Board of Heritage, AA Kwamena, against senior council advice, against the advice of your former chairman and board of Heritage, Winfred Espinay. You should have resigned then for that disgraceful position. Procurement legislation that you came into Parliament, removed the 3/5 majority, simple majority to legalize thieving. We now know what we're learning about you. We now learning about your mens rea, your modus operandi, especially with this Porsche driver. The Police Service Commission, well, you have caused the entire collapse and constitutional crisis in Trinidad and Tobago. You must resign. The Revenue Authority bill that you brought to Parliament, and you did not change anything. You just put in one Director General, Deputy Director General Enforcement, that's a public servant, and you come to remove the constitutional majority, 3/5 majority, to protect citizens' rights, to come and dip in their pockets, to put a PNM minister, to appoint a PNM board, to appoint and determine a PNM Director General to control the taxes of the situation and take the right to seize property in your control, so that we will have to ensure that you always get your rent on time, so you will tax the people. Rentals of buildings, you are an Attorney General sworn on a Bible, and you think it was okay, and you still believe it was okay to be in a government sitting at the right hand of the bald-head Oreo double stuff and rent out your own building, but say that you just stepped out, you recused yourself, so there was no influence whatsoever. You really believe Trinidad and Tobago is a bunch of idiots You must go, Mr. with your makeup, with your whole makeup kit, with your mascara. I never see lip gloss, but I'm sure you have one. Change laws to benefit Imbut Construction. Imagine a Minister of Finance reading laws that you drafted as Attorney General in the Parliament, knowing full well that he had a building in Picton Street under construction and that he would benefit from that very law. That's part and parcel of what you have done. You must resign and go. COVID-19 tickets, everybody, you introduce tickets and everybody getting ticket, man riding a bike by himself in the bus with the ticket, the thing down here like a chin strap and get a ticket. But you going in a room with 13 man, dribbling, laughing, hugging up, looking like, you look very comfortable with all them man. And you, no mask on, but no ticket for you, while the citizens had to pay over $20 million in tickets. Property tax, you come in, you have plenty property. Your property tax though is your property is rented to the government. So are you going to increase your rental to the government while citizens have to pay property tax, that laws that you are drafting and bringing for the people? And your wife, law firm, and your wife, when you are the Attorney General, getting legal briefs from the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and you get on arrogant in Parliament to say that you, from the office of the Attorney General, did not give her no brief. We didn't ask you that. The office of the Prime Minister is the government. You are the legal advisor to the entire government. So how many briefs did she get? From where? From what other state agencies, what other ministries have given your wife briefs while you are the Attorney General? You are a sick, greedy man. You are really a descendant of the prophet, Profit. You come into government to swear on the Bible. You gone out better off. You gone out brilliant. People supposed to serve the people. You serve yourself. The breach of the COVID regulations in the arm wrestling, and you were in Andrew Gabriel's son wedding. You, IAG Al-Rawi, you were in Andrew Gabriel's daughter wedding when the limitations were 5 people in a gathering. You were breaching the very laws that you wrote. I dare you to tell me I lie. I am saying it here on douglAR Politics that you, Faris, Al-Rawi, Al-Mascara, Al-Rental, Al-Porsche Rental, Al-Porsche man, Al-Bray on man, dribble on man, tight pants wearing, Attorney General who has to resign. I am telling you that I now know that you were in Andrew Gabriel's daughter wedding. 240 people, you were one of the guests. Tell me a lie now, boy. You were breaching the COVID-19 regulations, gathering in more than 5 people, 240 people in that bourgeois wedding. You abject, total dunce clown. You don't even have the wherewithal and the discipline to be an Attorney General. One would think that one who makes laws for others would be the first person to uphold the law and lead by example. You are a disgraceful clown. So resign.